Man, I've been doing Friday streams pretty regularly these days. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe yeah, that feels like a pretty good thing. I'm getting used to it. I think that's the thing. I'm getting used to it. One thing I'm not used to though is like doing the commentary and stuff on Fridays. I'm still, still kind of new to the whole, hey, let me try and do a podcast style weekly and just kind of like carry on about stuff. I want to organize it better. And I know that there are tools to like help me like organize thoughts into like a quick page that I can like scroll through and then just rant about stuff for a while. But that's hard. And I don't know how to do that. It's a big bummer. Whatever the case, what is up, everyone? This is Coffee with the Soul. I'm your host. We're going to chat. We're going to talk. Like I said, we're going to do commentary stuff today. There will be some housing stuff, though. You can see right here, this is one of a good handful now of entries that have been put into the Housing Blueprint Challenge. This one's slick, dude. I'm not going to show everything because there's I mean it's not a huge place, but no, there's a lot to this. This is pretty darn cool. So at some point folks are going to get access to this and many other blueprints, but not before we like vote for stuff. Yay. We'll vote for a winner. They're going to get some fabulous prizes. And hopefully they'll be good enough. So, hope everyone's doing well. It's Friday, thank goodness, for most of you, because you guys will have an actual weekend. Some of us do not, unfortunately, but that's just how it goes. Tomorrow, tomorrow I'm actually going to be doing some social things. I'm going to meet up with people, and this is a dangerous one. We're going to look, Dee and I, we're going to go uptown and we're going to a place that is doing puppy adoptions. And I'm scared. I'm hella scared to go there. Because if I go and if I see a puppy I like, here, let me see if I can pull it up. I'll pull up the puppy picture that she showed me. If I can find it. Let's try to find it, buddy. Because it's a cute puppy. I was like, oh my god. It's funny, like she's like, hey, I need to call you. I'm like, you need to call me? So yeah, this is big, or this is important. I need to make sure that we're actually talking. Like, oh, okay. So here's puppies. And the one that she was showing me was this guy. Slice is the dude's name. Poodle mix with a mini poodle, mini cavapoodle, but then we don't know who the dad is. And so she's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't trust myself, like, to make a decision on this, because I'm gonna be like, puppy. And then if I hold it, oh my god, I'm just gonna melt. I'm like, I need your logic. I need a someone who can keep it together, right? But I'm scared too, because it's like, because she'll give in to me. If I make that kind of face, she'll be like, oh, okay, he wants it. So I'm scared of tomorrow that we might go there. Now there's a process. There's a extremely high chance that we'll go there, but then we got to go through like this interview process and all that to make sure that I'm not like a jackass and all that. And for all we know, by the time we go there tomorrow, someone's going to take this dude away, and then that'll be it. And I gotta tell myself it's okay. He's got a good boss. It's gonna be fine. But at least it'll kind of put me out there and be like, okay, I'm in the market. Yeah, for lack of better words and all that. But I was like, we've been talking about getting a new dog for like years. Like it's been about 8 years now. It's been about 8 years since Toffee passed away, and I never got over it. It still, it still hurts like crazy. And But you know, I'll be talking about them all the time. And I was talking to her, and I was talking to YouTube, like, can we get like 2 puppies? And so I got her to be like, okay, we're gonna get one, make sure it's well trained and whatnot. That way it helps to teach the other one. And I'm thinking to myself, will it do that, or will the new one like detrain, you know, will it untrain the first one? And which is very possible. So this is gonna be tough. What is, I think the factors that are going into this are, I don't know who the dad is, you know, so we don't know what sort of mix this is. I'm happy with it being a mix at all, because, you know, that means mixes tend to be more healthy than things that are like overbred. Like a Cavapoo is a mix, but when you mix them, but when you do the same thing so many times, then it becomes kind of the same difference, you know? Like I'm thinking, I'm asking myself, okay, like who's the mix? Like it's a you know, it's a Cavapoo who's the mom, but like, yeah, who's the dad? I don't know. There's no accurate way to, I don't think there's a really accurate way to like pull all that stuff up. So might as well get to it. There's no might as well. This isn't going to be an easy decision, because like the way our living situation is, it's very weird. So yeah, it'd be very weird, and I know I'd struggle. Like I would need your guys' help, because I would have Puppy like somewhere here in one of the corners and all that, and then every now and then it's like between a visit or something like that, you might hear yelping and all that, and you know, it would be super disruptive. So this is not going to be like a very easy decision to make. But I'm trying to be brave and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but this could like be a big disruption to like work and all that stuff. So have a puppy cam, I mean, that's obviously, like, I can easily, yeah, I can set something like that up. There's a corner that you can't see, but it's nice and clear. There's plenty of space for like a big crate for them and all that. But I'm also like, oh, do I really want like Puppy? And this is like the office, you know? It's like, do I really want him in there? But of course, there's no choice. I don't want him to be like too far away either. While Grandma has 3 beds for her pets and a cam on them as well as on her. Nice, nice. Yes, we want. Okay, so chat wants the puppy. Yeah, I'll need chat's help for like puppy income, you know. It's they ain't hell, just the adoption fee over here is like $800. I'm like, yo, I remember when we because it was my mom who got Toffee, and we had him, and he came from a breeder somewhere Midwest, and I think it was about $800 for like the flight and everything. So now it's like, oh man, you know, looking at a breeder, that's a non-starter. But then luckily, like this one is over at a shelter. Yeah, the rest of it is the $800 adoption fee. It's nuts these days. And we're in this part of town in California, so that's a lot. I thought they said adopt, don't shop. Well, you know what? People have said adopt, don't shop for so long that I guess now the shelters are like, look at these people. Let's go ahead and make some money. Yeah. There are other places I'm sure we can go to for something like this. This is just one of them. And of course, like it's always a crapshoot when you're trying to get like someone who's like very young. Like this one's 8 weeks, so it's like perfect, and all that. I don't know what I'd name them. The name that comes, there are 2 names that come to mind for a puppy: Sherlock and Waffle. So it's like, okay, which one? And I have a feeling that Dee's going to defer to me to name to name them. And I'm like, Waffle. Waffle is so good. So it could be a thing where it's like, it's gonna be Sherlock and Waffle. Well, that'll be the name. Is for, you know, that might be it. It's just a matter of like who's who, and then I'll be like, how am I gonna do this? Flip a dice, let them walk onto a piece of paper, give them a waffle. I don't know. So I miss having a buddy though. It's you know, it's a big hole that's left, and it's never been filled. So just combine them, shuffle or wafflock. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I like shuffle. That's not bad. I like waffle though. Waffles are delicious. The little guy looks like a waffle. Yeah, right. So, okay, I gotta close that window. Oh my god, that it's gonna ruin me, dude. It's gonna ruin me. Seriously, puppies make me an emotional wreck. Oh, I get ruined by that sort of stuff. So, what I wanted to do, there was an entry, so I want to do another like live imports and like see how this works out. I think this is I think this is in the one. Let me double check. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. So something housing challenge. This one. Oh, so they have both. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is a new one. So we got both an indoor and an outdoor build. Let's go. Let's see what we got. We are missing. Oh wow, really? We're not missing a whole lot of stuff at all. Wow. Oh, is it undyed? No, it's not undyed. Dyes are in fact being used. We just have a couple things to buy. I'm amazed by this. It's almost suspicious, but okay. I will buy these things. Let's go. Let the puppy choose the name, say several names, and see which they respond to. That is certainly an idea. Yes, that is a possibility. So things to talk about this week. There are 2 interviews that were done with the devs. Well, I'll be talking a little bit about that. There's this thing with Wowhead, and then there's contest related stuff, which I'm kind of doing now, sort of demonstrating for everyone, like the whole process of like what I'm doing. So I'm basically buying everything that I need. I'm doing all the dyes, and it's as if I'm like taking all these blueprints for myself. But I just want to be able to quickly swap between houses. That's kind of the idea. So let me close all this stuff again, re-import, and then it should be okay. Yeah, so now everything's there. I'll import. Did I find the glow? Glow? I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Show them now. Yeah. Alright, here's the video I'm actually... Oh, I thought I fixed it. Is it still not fixed? I could have swore I fixed it yesterday. Hold up. It is fixed, right? Or did I name it wrong too? No way. That would be giga tragic. Hold on. No, it looks right, right? Ashvane. Let me refresh. Well, you had it open the whole time? Is there any fix for the rotation bug yet, or no info on it? I'm not too... I mean, I heard about certain fixes, but not like everything. Yeah, you'll have to help me out on that one, because I've heard that, hey, there were some bug fixes for rotation stuff, but it's also persistent as well. So let's tap over a while back. Oh, okay, it's sort of okay. Yay. Okay, so here's this one. Oh no, I did get this one already. Okay, cool. Never mind. So real quick though, just a quick walkthrough. So everything is in order. Got this nice little bar, actually even a bar setup, bar setup, little kitchenette kind of thing. And here's the cool one. So notice how we walked in, right? We walked in, and we're going downstairs. Oh, basement. Actually, not even the basement. It's more like a basement work in progress kind of thing. But then they have like this little kind of a man cave set up. Oh, baby. Nice. Nice. I think there's no secret stuff behind there. What's behind? So mining tools down here and all that. Here is the bedroom. Oh, double bedroom. Okay. Actually, no, it's not even so much a man cave sort of thing. Like this is just like a dwarven style sort of dealy. Yeah. Here's like the reading spot. And then over here, a little bit of a natural coolness in this bathtub style sort of thing. We climb up and we're good to go. Any tours today? No. I'm not doing I at the moment, I'm not doing visits on Fridays. Fridays are, well, it's not me time. Fridays aren't me time. Fridays are like commentary time. It just gives me a chance to like rant, talk, chat with y'all directly, as opposed to like, you know, stuff between visits and all that stuff. Yeah, it's chill time, but is it really? Because once I'm done here, like I slave over the computer and I watch every second of my own recording that I just did, and I'll try to extract commentary from it and everything. But I mean, so far it hasn't been. It's been good. Like I think it's been, you know, kind of worthwhile to do this style. It's a heck of a process when I gotta sit down and do the scripting of things, because sometimes I'll write things for hours and hours and hours, and then I'll be like, oh, I hate it. this really sucks. I'm not happy with this at all. So I'll like throw it out, try out a new thing, and then I'm working until like 10 in the evening or something like that. With this method, I'm done before dinner, so there's a huge benefit. Even though some folks are like, well, I prefer your scripted commentary and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I think there are folks who really appreciate the candidness of things, because I'll say things that I normally wouldn't just start blabbering about, that I do talk about on stream. Like some folks are like, oh, I didn't know that you were like that they did QA stuff. I can see why you're so sympathetic to that side of the team, which I very much am, and I'll talk about that pretty regularly here. So but yeah, nice place, yay. I'm not, yeah, I need to make sure this process is like really clean once it's like really showtime, because I need to basically have all the decor that I will need. And so I guess depending on how many entries I get, I'm just going to like take blocks of them, because I'm going to showcase every single build that's here. I don't care if you break the rules or any of that stuff. Like you won't be eligible, you know, they won't be eligible to win. But I do want to make sure that everyone gets their time. And they'll be like quick, like 10-minute walkthroughs and stuff. It's not going to be like the huge thing that I, you know, it's not going to be like the 30-minute thing that I usually do, especially because these builds are going to be pretty small. And from there, we'll appreciate like the cool techniques and whatnot that are put in here. And basically, I'm just going to try and sell everyone's build. I'll be like, yo, check this out, man. It's like this and this, and it comes from da-da-da-da. And then here's, you know, and here's how that goes. So I'm just going to basically sell everyone's build. And that'll be fun. I think that'll be quite cool to do. Give myself a Twilight Zone moment. I used your neighborhood to find the purified goblin cup. Decided to snoop in your house and open them my own. It was that's funny. That's hella funny. Yeah, like I told guildmates every now and then, I'll be like, dude, there's this build that someone entered, and then I'll tell them to come to the Alliance house, and they'll be like, oh shit, okay, it's not bad. And yeah, I really hope this works out. Dre, hey, what's up? Let me say hi to everyone. I didn't do that. Yo, buster ass. What is up to Ravens, as always? You're the first person to say hi once again. What's up to Susan Seagroves and Melvino and Arumas and Arcadias? Hello to Darth Taz Zero and Thistle. What's up to Emil Face and Titiefin? Yeah, let's go with that. Or let's go with Tafun. I like that. What's up to Tafun? And Annie Frau and Roxana and Chris Yount, as well as I think I said hello to Malvin already. I'll just do it again just in case. What's up to Jolly Goodfellow? Hello to Arduin and to Nightbot and to Royce's. What's up to Daphne and Epi and Dre and Static Kitty and the rest y'all. The beautiful digital smiling faces who will be joining us throughout the day. Hi. I got some serious builders in today. No, I appreciate it. I mean, this is not going to be a building kind of stream, so, you know, it's just going to be me ranting and raving like a crazy person as usual. We'll see how long I stream this time, but this last time I streamed until like pretty much lunchtime, which is way longer than I thought I would, but it's all good. Let me look at the news things. We still don't have a 12.15 announcement. I'm kind of surprised. I would have figured that it would have come out like at some point like last week. I thought it was going to come out this week. It's Friday. It doesn't seem like we're going to get news on this. I mean, we'll see what happens in about an hour. We'll see what happens in 4 minutes. But then we'll also see what happens at 10 o'clock when they usually come out with their weekly roundup of like things that had happened. So we might be pleasantly surprised, but at this point, I'm going to be pretty cynical about it. Like, nope. Nah, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. Hey, so I'm considering entering a build that I'm trying to make for a level 1 house. So level 1 house. Wow. I was being generous too. The numbers and restrictions that I put in, they are reflective of a level 3 house. Yeah. Isn't it about a week until BlizzCon? They might announce then. I feel like that would take too long. And I do recall one of these interviews that we'll be talking about today. It was Paul Cubitt that said, no, 12.15 is going to be testable before BlizzCon. So it's pretty soon. And I anticipate that one of the reasons, I'm glad that they're doing it. Like, I'd rather have them talk about 12.15 now, a little bit. That way we can talk a little bit more about it during BlizzCon instead of it being introduced back then, because then we would just be losing out on that much information. But it also would be odd for, despite there being a BlizzCon and all that, I think it would just be odd for the patch cadence. They've been really, they've tried very, very hard, and they'll continue to try really hard to meet that whole 8-week thing. And it seems like they're still committed to it, although they're not going to like make it the law. It just seems like, yeah, they're committing to it as much as they can. But no, BlizzCon is in about 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, BlizzCon. Oh boy, there's going to be a lot going on that I still can't talk about, which is stupid. And at the same time, I still don't really know what's going on. I'm sure that there are other creators out there who are probably like getting themselves set up for like certain interviews, events, things like that. They probably know more than I do. I know very, very little. I know virtually nothing. So I just know like some people who's going or whatever. But I am excited. At the very least, I think it's going to be fun for creators, I think. Just because it sounds like there's going to be a lot of them showing up. And I guess the way that I'm kind of thinking of this, I think of all the creators who I've seen and met and whatnot, and those who I don't know or might know of, but just have never met. To me, it's kind of like, okay, it's that chance to meet counterparts, to meet kind of familiar faces, even though they're not really familiar to me. And I think that's the big value of something like BlizzCon, is that you get an opportunity to perhaps meet and interact with people on a personal level who you otherwise would not. Now, here on stream, it's great that I can talk with folks. That's very neat. But it also feels like something else altogether when you can meet up with folks in person, of course. There's a huge value to something like that, and it's it hits different when someone's like, "Ooh, can I shake your hand?" or "Can I take a picture with you?" That hits different. But of course, I appreciate every interaction. It's like crack, baby. Yeah, it's addictive. It's very addictive. Of course, if you're just looking for news, you could just squat on Wowhead, MMO Champion, or whoever's like live tweeting and stuff, if you just want to know the latest news. So like you're gonna see a lot of creators who are there at BlizzCon. They're not gonna do a damn thing. They ain't gonna do shit until they come back, and then it's like, all right, here's the recap and all the things that you already know about, but now it's coming from my mouth. Hey, and so I'm definitely gonna be doing that, but I'm also gonna be finalizing the contest stuff too, because the housing contest entry window will close on the 14th. So that's just a little bit after BlizzCon is done. Basically when I get home. Actually, as I'm coming home, the contest window will close. Yeah, I'll be on the road while we're doing all that stuff. I expect it to be big housing news. Maybe we're going to get more official exteriors or guild halls or something like that. So yeah, I'm hoping to get my socks knocked off. Something like that. Yeah, I think that's the phrase. Yeah. Maybe actual neighborhood events, though I'm not sure how those will work. Now, those are things that I'm very curious about. Like, so there's community feedback that talk about, oh, neighborhoods suck, or there are things about neighborhoods that are very lacking. And I've seen some commentary about how that works, but, since we're here, I'd love to hear you guys in chat, like, talk a little bit about, like, where, what do you guys think of neighborhoods? And I'm being very open-ended about it because I'm looking to get just kind of personal takes on it. I don't want to hear what you've been hearing. I want to hear what you guys have to say. You know what I mean? What is like cool? What's all right? Hey, I dig this. What sucks? And then from that's where we can get like some actionable takes to say like, oh, well, maybe we can do this, maybe we could do that, and anything goes, and it'll be up to me to kind of like translate that stuff into something digestible in case there is like an opportunity for a dev interview or something like that, because I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything like that either. Free orange juice, that would be cool. Love more racial exteriors and maybe even hood updates so we can get snow. That'd be kind of cool, like a whole seasonal change, like a zone change. Now I can also imagine that being totally devastating. So imagine, let's pretend, all right? Hey, look, it's everything but it's snow, right? The slightest bug could cause like just chaos. So just imagine this. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just thinking of consequences. So imagine if like for whatever reason the plot size is like altered a little bit because they basically put you on a different map, or they map all these textures to be like something different or something like that. They basically phase it. And then what if like your build gets altered or your house gets shifted slightly? Oh, that would piss me off like crazy. Now, it'd be cool with, like, snowy decor and all that. That'd be kind of cool. Or, how about this? How about, so, edit mode. So, here's my lot size, right? What can I change this line, this border, to be something else? Can I hit customize, hit the floor, and then have it change to something else? So that way, while, okay, it might be spring over there, but then I'm gonna blast this thing with winter stuff. Or just turn all this grass into dirt. That'd be kind of neat if we can do something like that. That way, if we do have like a whole seasonal change, then maybe they can alter like the map here, as long as it doesn't affect like the plots at all, then that'd be kind of cool. But if someone wants it to be like, Christmas in July, hell yeah, dude, why not? Have it snow in March, dude, it's ski season. Like, let's go. Let's do something like that. I think that'd be neat. The easiest thing, of course, is to just add very snowy decor as well, and then let gamers just kind of do their own thing too. So that'll be awesome. But I think the feedback that I'm interested in hearing about is, like neighborhood, quote, activities. Like, what are things that housing players want? I don't care about the PvE folks and the PvP folks necessarily. Like, because, yeah, I'm thinking of the housing folk first, the folks who are builders. I guess I classify folks in. I put folks into different buckets. Like there's the designers, and then there's the consumers. And right now there are no real consumers for housing. And what I mean by that is, if a housing person made a club, and it had music and all this other stuff, and then you invite everyone over. The designer is the person who made the house. The consumers are the party guests who are there to like dance and just go nuts and go crazy. And the consumers may also be fellow housing people and designers and stuff, or they might not be, but then they just like role play, or they just want to like check things out. So that's kind of like the distinction that I'm sort of trying to make. Or like puzzle stuff, like someone makes a jumping puzzle room and they challenge folks to like do the best time or something like that, and then they invite a bunch of people over, or they just advertise it somewhere on a subreddit or whatever. Hey, go ahead, jump in, my neighborhood's open, give it a shot. You have your designer, you have your consumers, and I think the consumers aren't exactly being catered too much, but like what sort of housing content could we make for that helps to support the consumer side of things? Or is that even an important audience to consider? I don't know. So I'm fresh in the community, and they do actual events, RP tours, etc. But the neighborhood itself has default wizard build is kind of like Garrison's Isolate. I'd love some mailbox outside where people can leave notes for you, a guest book that's not an animal. People who visit could leave messages. Now I wonder what's the real value prop there. Like what would that do? Right? We're in new territory, so it's hard to gauge like what will happen. We can just kind of like speculate. Oh, maybe we can get this to happen. So I'm curious to see like, if we follow through on those thoughts, what does that eventually translate to? Like those sorts of conversations are what always interest me, and I super like nerd out over the possibilities there. It'll be also cool to have another way of finding a house that doesn't involve spending the person. Oh yeah, I think that is something that will hopefully eventually evolve. Like we've seen housing grow and it's starting to mature, and we're getting like cooler things and also features that we're feeling kind of jank. They're getting better. Like I'd say basements would be one of them. It's like, hey, why wasn't that a thing from the start? Well, it's here now at least. Better late than never. And so now we have like these new possibilities. But where can we go from there? First thing I want is the indoor limit to be opened up to 2 raids. I know that there's an upper limit. So is the limit right now just 1 raid? Is that as much as you can fit in there? Because I have no knowledge of like what happens if you take 2 full out. So it's 40 people. So what happens if you take 2 full ass raid groups and they all try to cram themselves in the house? Does it say the house is full? Or do they get layered into something? Oh, the door's locked. Oh, that is criminal. Sorry, buddies. Full house. And is that the case regardless of like the number of rooms and all that stuff? Like, can I cram 40 people into like a box? You can cram 40 people into a box? That's pretty cool. Because you know what happens to that box, right? Everyone's sad. Everyone's just, there's a lot of discomfort. So, this is bad. Especially if you start AoEing and stuff. That's all nuts. I would like it if we do crafting in our homes. That'd be nice. I mean, it'd be nice if we could just do crafting. But I know, my stance has always been clear on like how on that whole thing is like I'm cool with crafting in the home, like for yourself, or if you want to do a personal order. But I would be loath for there to be patron orders. I don't think that would be a good idea. And of course, trade chat wouldn't be a good idea either. So if you're just making stuff for your guild or whatnot, hey, sure, why not? Because ultimately, crafting in the home, crafting in your plot or whatever, that's all that is. It's the same thing. It's still crafting. The only thing that changes is where you do it. And so allowing crafting at all makes for an enhancement to the whole roleplay and immersion of your house. But being able to have the convenience of crafting and all the other benefits that come from the otherwise the city life, then it threatens to kind of encroach on intercity life and interplayer commerce. And that's where you get that whole sense of isolationism, where it's like, oh, I'm going to just be in my house and I'm going to get all my resources and get all my gold and do all my commerce things here from the convenience of home. And I don't think that's okay. It would be as if Azeroth had internet. You know, and you're always connected to everyone. And you know, maybe that's kind of a consequence of, or a parallel to real life, how we're always connected, and you know, like people expect to call you and you should always answer, or you should always check your email like every 15 minutes and blah 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 blah. It's like, oh my god, I just want to like, you know, just kind of like close myself off, be away from everything for a little bit, and just be in my goddamn house. That's my thing on it. And I think so far the developers have been mostly in line with that. I'd love to have various invasions. So like enemies in the neighborhood? Oh no. I just want to be able to make health potions at home if I need some. Oh, you can though. Yeah. As far as I know, like you can make health potions without being at your table anymore, right? Let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's the case now. So let's check. I'll get on this guy. Maybe the wrong example. Yeah, because gotcha. I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I think some folks are kind of like put off by the inconsistency about like, oh, I need to be at a table for this. Oh, I don't need to be at a table for that. But at least with health pods, it's like, oh, I think we can do. So here I am. I'm away from stuff. Let me do this thing. I can make a thing. Concentrated stuff. Bam. Oh, yeah. Get it. Okay, so go me. Bye. Either that or remove crafting tables as a necessity. I mean, like I said, it's not necessary for everything, but there's this sort of inconsistency as to like what applies, what doesn't, and all that. But I think having the table, disable patron orders, and continue to not have trade chat, I think that solves it. Because like the situation of like, hey, a guildmate's like, hey, can someone make a thing for me? Yeah, I'm in the neighborhood right now. Just go ahead and go ahead and put it in guild orders or send it to me or whatever, and then I'll go and make it. That's it. I think that use case is perfectly fine. Or if I'm at home and I want to make my own stuff and I went through the trouble of building this table for myself, boom, there we go. And I feel like I should be able to do that. Yeah, sure, why not? It's like, why does the Artisan Consortium have to have like this whole monopoly on tables? Like, can't I just buy your table and bring it home and all that? And the consortium's like, yeah, that only costs like a lot of gold. And it's like, all right, boop, I'll throw down. And then there we go. Now a question to, well, I guess it's not really a question, because Dragonflight, War Within, Midnight. You can go to any table. You can do all your, you can do all your professions. You can do every era of profession, no matter which table you go to. You don't have to go to only the Midnight table for this. You don't have to go to Dragonflight in order to fulfill Dragonflight's Dragonflight crafts. But you do need to go to Dornogal to do Dragonflight. I'm sorry, you do need to go to Dornogal to do War Within crafting orders, I think. Right? I never tried it. Let's go real quick. I'm curious. Let's go this way. This is probably a mistake. I should have just portaled a different way. Just what crafting in neighborhoods and homes doesn't bring us full circle to people feeling like maybe garrisons weren't so bad if we can customize them like this. Oh, is it like a slippery slope sort of thing? I'm not as worried about that. Like, because garrisons back then, they didn't have crafting orders and things like that. Anyway, so could be done differently. Have an actual blacksmith in the community, especially for our peers, having someone build an actual profession shop. There's rumors of that too, like the things that are under construction over in the neighborhoods. That hey, maybe there's going to be like a community, a neighborhood blacksmithing table, something like that. So you know, people don't necessarily have to build their own thing. But I also feel like if they're going to allow something like that, they might as well also have a table we can make ourselves too. Because, like, why not? You know, if we're going to do one of those, you might as well, it feels like you might as well have both. So, anyway, table. And patron orders. And, oh, they just don't do... Okay, never mind. So, goodbye... I guess the people over in Dorne and Khazalgar just don't need anything done anymore, huh? Fine. I've moved on from you to... Wait, so what if I don't have Midnight Blacksmithing? What if I only have Khazalgar or, you know, War Within Blacksmithing? Am I going to see those kinds of patron orders, or will they not show up? Yeah. There's a drop down. Oh, can I just change the drop down? Oh, Khazalgar. Crafting orders. Brilliant. Okay. Cool. So, one table for them all. Sweet. So I don't need to go through the thing. Smart. Thank you, Ashby. So in the last patch came a change, but one of my friends picked up Dragonflight at War Within Midnight Crafts for his professions, and when he completed the 2 or 3 pages of Midnight, all completed the ones from Dragonflight and War Within. Yeah, so it's just one table. So you don't need to go to an expansions thing, you just gotta change the pull down. Sweet. That's cool. I think they should allow the town center bulletin board to be useful. We should also be able to leave neighborhood messages to be notified of new messages as he zones into the house. My build community, if you throw in an open house, for example. That'd be kind of neat. So, like, I think I get what you're saying. Hold on, let me put back to the house. Some house. Let's go here. Let's head to the yard. The altar of rot is still a thing, though. I mean, do people use it for, like, certain stuff still? Alright. So, like, if I go to the square... And I guess there'll be like certain messages or things like that, like over here. Because, I mean, you're right. Like, this doesn't like do anything except for like show me everyone, and like that's it. And I can report people, and I know where people are. I mean, this is useful. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, it's nice to be able to see like the where of everyone, but then that's all that's being offered, and that's kind of like, oh, well, that's nice. I guess. You know what kind of needs is if, you know, so I'm the neighborhood boss. If the neighborhood boss, as well as other people who are, you know, around, I want to talk to the steward or talk to the bulletin board, and I want to be like, hey, I want to activate an event. And I can choose the event, you know, kind of like how I choose the endeavor. And then when I choose the event, I don't know what the event is going to be. Who cares about that right now? Let's just focus on the framework here. I can choose the event, and then for the next 3 hours, this happens in the neighborhood. And then you get things. I don't know what you get. I don't care right now. But that'd be kind of cool, you know, to kind of like be able to set something up, such as invasion. So it's like, oh... I just hit a button, and then all of a sudden, like, hold on, where's my weather thing? Um, what's that thing called? I forgot. Something toy box, environmental doohickey. Um, I can do it. No, I don't think I can do it here. Oh, I hate you. Okay, fine. So what if I could do like the whole environmental thing, or what if I could do a thing and then I start a Legion invasion? Sky turns black, Legion ships show up, and it's like, oh my god. And then what do? I don't know what they do, but yeah, some event happens, and then during the event you get bonus things and all that. I mean, depending on what the event is, that can be kind of cool. And then you can activate these events like once or twice a week or something like that. That could be kind of cool. It wouldn't, yeah, that would be kind of neat. And then from that, so let's pretend there's a scavenger hunt. You start the event, boom, for the next 3 hours, this and this happens. And so everyone's like, oh, let's go. And so they're like doing things. And like, let's go with the scavenger hunt thing. You get stuff, and then people who participate, they get coupons and other stuff at the time. When the event is over, we can see the results here. And it's like, hey, cool, look at these results. And then that's it. The reason why that's it is because I, as the neighborhood boss, will decide, oh, I will use this scoreboard and I will do something with it. As in, I'm going to get the top folks and I'm going to give them some shit from my pocket. I'm going to give them things. So something that is something that's player driven. Blizzard provides the tools of the scoreboard. Then the players in the community, they make something around that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I wouldn't want it to be something like Blizzard does both the scoreboard and the rewards. I definitely would want to put that into the hands of players. I wouldn't want it to be in-game prizes, honestly, because that's going to be another thing for Blizzard to like track and keep track of, and who cares? Like, we've seen that the big benefit of housing and neighborhoods is whatever the community happens to think up and cook up together. We've seen all sorts of different guilds, communities, Discord channels, and whatnot. They do their own thing. I think we just need. I think it would just be very helpful for Blizzard to give us the framework to help us track stuff, and then the players can do the rest. So, yeah, I actually wouldn't want awards tied to the event. Nah. I know that sounds weird. It sounds a little weird. But I wouldn't want. I basically just don't. I just want a framework, not to make it sound like, oh, this is the thing. This is what Blizzard's providing. Yeah, I know that it seems kind of weird that I'm like, wait, well, how come you don't want them to do more? So. I think we need sub-bosses for neighborhoods. Sub-bosses? Hunts on arm. Oh, that would be cool too. Like if we can get like some sort of like a Nezin warrior event. So like Hemet Nezin warrior shows up. And he's like, yo, what's up, neighborhood people? Like, I heard that there's like this whole migration of things that are coming in. And while I'm not for the slaughter these days, because Nezin Warrior isn't really about that anymore, instead of like the slaughtering of things, we're here to like tag stuff. And so I want you to take this special tag gun, and it looks like a giant rifle, by the way. I want you to like tag as many of these things as you can, just as one example, and so people will be like kind of like darting around, racing to like tag stuff and all that, and that could be a cool thing too. And then it gets tracked, and then the game will give coupons as prizes, and like that's kind of it. But then the rest of us would like do certain things, so it'd be kind of neat if like during the event period, like vendors will spawn and they will sell these Nezin Warrior related decor things or toys or some shit like that. consumables for housing or whatever, and then people just spend coupons on. I wouldn't want it to be like event specific. I don't need like, oh, okay, here's like 11 different coupons. That would be like kind of weird. And then the rest of it is whatever is community driven. So paintball events, that'd be kind of cool too. But I'm kind of digging the whole Nezing warrior thing. Or actually, okay, here's what it inspires. I would like to have lots of neighborhood consumables. I'm going to make a lot of shit up right now, okay? I'm going to make stuff up. I want to temporarily spray paint in the house. Like, and then I put stuff on a wall. That would be like all sorts of weird on technical levels, but for the moment I don't care. Let's just pretend, okay? You know, if we could just like leave temporary things or just have like these temporary consumables inside the house to like make things fun, like, you know, fireworks and you know, torches that are like way too bright, you know, just a weird shit like that. My tunes are in generic neighborhoods. The land side is fairly active, but the horde side is very lackluster about events. I mean, my neighborhood, you know, my guild, my neighborhood, we don't do anything. Like, there's only a handful of folks that do housing stuff, and, you know, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to force them into, you know, like, this is, I mean, dude, this guild is going to be like 20 years old at some point. It is not a, quote, housing guild. You know, this is just the family. And, you know, I'm not going to try to force that to be a thing. Would it be rude to offer a great housing guild that's always recruiting? No, not at all. Yeah, feel free. All you need to do is make it the core item you can draw, and that seems simple enough. How would that work? To me, that sounds insanely complicated. Because you're telling me to like draw something like that with the mouse cursor. I mean, the closest thing we have that I can think of is, remember that one Warlords quest at the intro, and then you have that whole powder, that whole barrel of powder or whatever, gunpowder, and then people draw dicks. That's the closest thing that we've seen to drawing. Yeah, they'd have to add drawing into the game engine, and I don't know how that would work, unless there's something that I just don't recall. It's only an issue because endeavors require participation in order to get all of the new core items, which requires participation. Now, I've seen okay. Show of hands. Like, how many of you guys completed your endeavor in your neighborhood? And if you have not, I'm sorry. I guess what I'm asking too is, like, if you're in a guild neighborhood, like, did you finish your endeavor? Because I imagine that if you're in a guild that's even remotely active, then you're fine. You know, as long as you're, like, you know, doing outdoor PvE stuff. Because it seemed like a freebie. We were done in hours, I think. You know, I looked, we were done in like hours, a day at most. Because I was like, okay. And then I've been, you know, I would like do stuff, and I would just amass coupons. And how many coupons do I have right now? Okay, not too many, because I think I've been spending stuff. But like, yeah, so I don't have too many. Some folks, I'm sure they have a shitload because they're actually because they're more active with the neighborhood stuff. Like, I know I've been just like farming stuff or just killing things, and then pretty much anything. Like, when I'm down in the vaults, it's like nonstop. If I do an event, I get like coupons. It's so free right now. And the current endeavor is going to end kind of soon, right? It's going to end like sometime next week, I think. Yeah, so it's going to end next week. If I get an opportunity to choose the same one, I'm going to pick it up. Because, yeah. I don't see I personally don't see a whole lot of value from picking up like the not so the tougher endeavors, because we can just neighborhood hop. You know, like, yo, I'm just going to open the house finder and I'm gonna F5 until I find like the things that I want. So like if there's a neighborhood that isn't at 100%, it's a pretty, you know, it's a pretty dead neighborhood with like lots of, you know, see, this isn't even a question of like, oh, everyone's dead. It's just not a very filled out neighborhood at all. But yeah, if you are in one that has people who are just playing, then you're fine. 101? For real? How do you get 101%? That's crazy. But yeah, you can see here, like, this neighborhood has hella space, but it's full. This neighborhood is a little bit more empty, and then, but also just doesn't have a lot of active players. So it's, yeah, it just kind of depends. Right now, now that adding permanent vendors in your neighborhood for completing an endeavor, it's kind of worth it to at least do them all at once. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. So, like, there are some that we haven't done yet. I don't think we've done Drakthir. Because where's that other person? Where's the rocket guy? Oh, here's the rocket guy. Well, so if you do the Mechagon one, that's how you get the Rust Bolt jetpack. And then I don't know where the other ones are. I should probably find them. That'd be a helpful guide, wouldn't it? Gosh. I can't open the garage. All right. I'll be right back. All right, hey. Okay, so, all right. Where was I? Something endeavors. Looking forward to. Oh yeah, that's right. I totally forgot that there are new endeavors too, that are coming. So yeah, I am gonna choose some of the new ones. Yeah, I hope they're easy. Gosh. But I do want to complete, you made a really good point. I do want to complete the other ones, at least once. So I'll have to figure out which ones we haven't done yet. Yeah, shoot. I'll have to ask the guild. Because I don't remember off the top of my head. Ooh, okay. Sorry. Too much breathing. I think Maxers were done in an hour. Oh, with the endeavors, right. If you're on EU only, homeowners of Ashwell's is Incredible Housing Guild. Nice. Yeah, I think I've been in contact with them a bit too. I thought we have a Tuscarora endeavor. No, that's a Tortolian one that's coming. I'm sure it'll come at some point. All right, so there's this little update. Actually, to me, it's a pretty significant update because it's something that I've been like talking smack about with Wowhead for like the longest time. So something that I've said about Wowhead, like, and I have like this. It's not even a love-hate relationship with them, you know. Like I use it a lot, but sometimes I talk smack. One thing that I didn't like is that they didn't have filters because I was like, yo, I want to be able to just see the things that I care about. Because I don't care about most of the things, and I didn't like that they were just kind of like not so great with the filters. So they added some stuff, but with a big caveat. So there's this whole customized feed thing that you can hit now. But before I click that, I'd say the you know, kind of an important thing for folks to pay attention to maybe would be these tags. So now there are these tags that you can see right here: lore, hotfix, blue posts, yada yada yada, how-tos, interviews, and so on and so forth. And what you can do, you can just click the tag like so, and it'll show just interviews. That's it. You want to see every interview that Wowhead covered? Cool. Awesome. You'll have to back out in order to like undo the filter, you know, boo. But then you can use these to just kind of focus on single subjects. And I think that's neat. I think that's extremely helpful for folks who are just like looking for certain information, or who are just interested in certain information. Like, yo, I'm not interested in like people's opinions on stuff. Like, I just want to look at these how-to things. Like, show me how to do like some of the cool stuff. Show me how to get Jimothy and this achievement and the sword and this and this and that. And I thought that was cool. As for the customizable filters, or the customized feed, you hit the button, and now we get, you know, we have the old options here, we have new options here, and you can filter out, you can basically filter out one thing, but just one for free. And if you want to filter out more, you gotta have Wowhead Premium. I don't recall how much it costs, whatever. I get why they're doing it. They gotta make their money. You know, internet's rough. You gotta survive somehow. I'm just like, filters, come on, man. And there's a lot of different kinds of tags that they're doing, and so I am grateful that they're going ahead and adding these sorts of tags to all these things, so that folks who are paying for the premium thing, that they can be very effective at filtering out the things they don't care about. Like, yeah, I don't care about opinions. I don't want that. I don't want to know about housing or something like that. Or I only want to know about housing. You know, so I want to turn everything else off. That's something that the premium folk can do now. And of course, this is obviously in beta, and so we'll see we'll see how this comes out when it becomes live. I mean, I'm like just one dude. You got way too many filters, man, and I can only like filter out one thing. That's lame. That feels kind of unusable to me. Give me like 3, all right? Just give me 3, and then I'll sort out what I feel like. I mean, the old filters are still there though, so I don't have to also filter out like Diablo stuff and all that on the right side. That would suck. I would be super tilted if that were the case too. But at least we have that. So I just wanted to point that out because I think it's kind of a nice upgrade. I don't even know when it went in, because it's not like they announced it or anything. So I just thought that was kind of cool. It's 75 cents per month. Dude, 75 cents per month. You know what I can do with 75 cents per month? Nothing. Yeah. So I'm not for it, against it. I'm just pointing out that it's a premium thing for the filter, and you can do what you want. You know, if I recall, isn't there a way, like, if you're like a big participant in Wowhead stuff, don't you get like premium for free or something like that? I don't think I get it for free, right? Yeah, what are my premium settings? Because I clearly don't have it. Yeah, I thought there was a thing. Oh, so the rare one. Okay. Got it. Skip the line customer service? Wait, why do I want to skip the line? Oh, and you get a cute little pin. Got it. Oh well. Whatever the case. Do what you want. So there was... Oh, speaking of the interview thing, let me find that again. So over the past week or so, there have been a number of dev interviews where, like, Ellesmere, he talked with encounter designers about like the recent race, or I'm sorry, the recent raid tier, race to Warfare, and so on and so forth, add-ons. That was a big thing too. But I also I kind of want to highlight these two interviews more. These ones that were done with both Ian Hazzikostas and Paul Cubitt, where they talked about, you know, just kind of like WoW in a broad sense, but still mostly from the high end, you know, because the folks who, the creators who were involved with these, they participate in, you know, late end game stuff, mythic raids, race to world first stuff, high end keys, that sort of thing. And so there's a certain slant with both the interview style and the questions that are being asked. And I'm focusing on very narrow things, but I do want to first, like, as usual, give some praise to the interviewees. In this case, it's Ian Hazzikostas and Paul Cubitt. When you're interviewing developers at the, I don't want to say lower level. That feels very demeaning, and I don't want to diminish what those developers are doing, but I'd say below the game director level of stuff, or lead encounter designer kind of thing, the kinds of answers that I notice from those folks, they are typically kind of practiced. You know, they are kind of provided to them. They know that there are things that they're not allowed to say. They kind of have to follow like this kind of narrow set of questions and answers. But when it comes to game director level kinds of stuff, they can be more open-ended. They can, you know, and if anything, the game directors, they're just more practiced with their answers, or they're trained lawyers, or, you know, whatever narrative you want to think of, but they've just been doing it more, and they're used to it. And so Paul Cubitt, who is, I think he is I don't know if he's still an associate game director or not, but you know, he's been making the rounds a lot too. And then of course Ian's very practiced as well as at doing the talks. But I do encourage that you guys watch these. I'll, you know, if I'm doing this on a VOD, I'll link it in the video descriptions. They're long too. They're an hour long. They go over a lot of stuff, a lot of topics. There's a little bit of back and forth between them, and I encourage you to listen to like the whole thing and not just the bullet points. Even though Wowhead does a pretty good job of doing the bullet points these days, it really helps when you can get like the little emotional ticks, the inflections that are coming from the devs, and it feels more genuine when you actually just listen to what they have to say, as opposed to like just the bullet points or what someone says or what a creator says. But that said, I am going to cherry pick, and I'm just going to focus on two questions that were asked by these dudes. First one from Cyber is about gearing, and how gearing happens early on in the season and how that affects player behavior. And then the one from Tettles, where they talk about QA and bugs and testing and stuff. And so I'm going to post the full questions and answers, just so we can get like the entire breadth of what's being asked here. And then we'll circle back and then we'll talk smack about it. Yeah. At least that's the plan. That's the plan right now, at least. For now, though, what are you guys talking about? I think you guys are talking about mostly Endeavor stuff. What kinds of Endeavors you want to see? I think people are approaching the Endeavors as if they were like trading post things. You know, like, yo, give me that sort of thing. But you also gotta wonder, because now here's the thing about Endeavors. Endeavors have like a very focused thing around them. So, like, for example, the upcoming Kobold ones. I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but chances are pretty good that we're gonna have to go to a specific area and do things in that specific area for credit towards the endeavors. People who want a Tuskar one, how's that gonna work? Are we gonna go back and go to Wrath of the Lich King stuff? Or other places, of course, because there are other places, and because those places, they need to scale their level up. You know, they need to provide a zone and do like some weird stuff with zone scaling in order to make that work. So endeavors are more than just the rewards that we get. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind it too. Even if someone like me might not care about it, I'm like, I don't care, I'm just going to keep doing raids and dungeons, and that's how I'm going to get our endeavor stuff filled up. So we don't really like think about it too much. But there are a couple of folks in the guild that do commit a lot to doing like neighborhood stuff. So I think I think it'd be hard to just get any endeavor up, but I'm curious, like, okay, what kinds of endeavors do we really want to see? Because at the same time, while there are cool things that we can get from the endeavors, it's also pretty limited, right? It's very limited with what they'll be able to do, because you only get like what, 12, 13 items or something like that. So it kind of goes back to some of the more original critiques of, yo, I really want to have racial exteriors. I think that's kind of like the baseline. Like once we get the racial exteriors, things kind of like trickle down in a sense. So like, let's pretend like next patch we get Forsaken stuff. Forsaken and Draenei, just to throw something out there. So at some point we might see different kinds of not just the racial, the exteriors, but we might get influences that will reflect in future neighborhood decor. So what if we get different kinds of wood, different kinds of platforms, you know, that have a certain theme to it. It's cool that the new tiles that we got, that those are dyeable, but we're limited by the texture that's being offered. Like, oh, I want a different sort of texture or a different sort of beam platform and so on and so forth. That'll be great when those finally come in. Why do the zones need to be scaled up? I mean, Forbidden Reach is miserable, and so is there like Cavern. Why are they hard if you're all alone there? Even the Consortium one, the event is not doable unless there are 10 well-geared people though. Oh, is it? I've never did the Consortium one. Consortium stuff there. Now, of course, I cheat. I'm a tank, so nothing's hard. I don't think I can answer that question very well. Yeah. You know how a lot of folks are like, yo, Blizz, you need to make the world relevant again. They're badly scaled. I mean, that's good feedback, but the actionable thing to that is just they'll just scale it better, you know? I don't think the answer to that is going to be, oh, let's just not scale it. Let's just let people just walk in and just walk in and their aura will annihilate everyone around them. But scale it better. Yeah. So, you know, give the feedback for sure. But as for why they're scaled, I think it's scaled for a reason. It helps to, you know, hey, present rewards, make it always feel present, make it always feel relevant. And even then, it's not like it's an always on thing. But of course, when the endeavor is not active, then you have no reason to go there anyway. So, but that might not matter too much, because you could always just go to the vendors later, because certain vendors, they might just pop up again, and then you can just buy the stuff again. So it's thanks to there being like so many different approaches that even the harshest critiques, they have like ways to walk around that kind of sort of to find different solutions. So as a tank, you can't complete the Blade's Edge, not in the event alone, or even with 2 tanks alone, you'll fail. Well, here's the thing, Annie. Like, why do I want to do? So I'm just speaking for me here. Why am I doing the Consortium thing? Because I want to get the rewards. I already have a crap load of coupons, and we managed to get our endeavor finished by doing other things. So now I can get whatever I want, and then that's it. And then what Gal's pointed out, is it possible for me to find a group? Like if it's really that apparent that I can't do it on my own, can I just make a group in the group finder and wait a little bit? Is that an acceptable solution? To me, yeah, because at least there's like a path towards it. But if there's like friction around it, while there's a way to go around it entirely, I think that works out too. So ultimately, WoW is still, you know, largely like this invitation to do social things. And I think that despite me being me, I do not like grouping with folks as outside of guild. I still do think it's acceptable to have instances where maybe you should just find a group. Like there are things that I don't do because I can't get in, because I don't get into groups. Like excuse me, like one thing that comes to mind for sure is there's a rare, I think, that you can summon in a bastion, and you just need 3 people to click on a thing. That's it. You just got to show up. And I never bothered doing that. I have a guild. I run the guild. I could easily pull teeth and be like, yo, can we do this real quick? I don't do it. But, you know, maybe that's not the best example because it's like a very inconsequential thing to me, at least. It's like, I can live without it. It's not, if the meta was involved, you know, that'd be different. Then I'll like find a group or what have you. But I don't think that everything ever needs to be soloable. Might be a bad take, but that's what I believe in. So, and I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm not saying you're wrong. But that's just where I stand. Remember my rules, guys. If the going gets tough, quit. You know, just move on. For me, there's plenty of things to do. So, I love my alliance neighborhood. My horde one's awful. Oh boy. People largely forgotten what an MMO is about. The options are what's great about WoW. Is that you know, there are lots of different ways to do things. You know, I for one am not. I don't feel like, you know, if there's a thing to do, I don't feel compelled that I have to do it or that I have to be able to do it myself. I'll just let things pass me by, you know, PvP stuff, raid stuff, dungeon stuff. Like, oh my god, there's this cool tabard thing that you can get if you get your gladiator stuff up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna not do it. So haven't looked for it, but Melko's gonna do a video about the endeavors and how unbalanced they are. Yeah, so I'm way out of touch on that. Because the guild that I'm in, and we're a pretty small guild. I think we're a pretty small guild. Like only a handful of us bother doing the tasks here. The rest of us, we just raid log or do, you know, our weekly raids and dungeons and do alts and all that stuff. And we just happen to be full within like a few days. And so I'm grateful for that. We can largely bypass the activities here, or at least the people who do the activities here. They kind of carry the torch for us. I mean, you're right. Like I'm sure there are imbalanced endeavors and stuff, and so it's good feedback to give those things that are like that are tough. I guess for me, like I don't put any. I'm not saying that anyone here is either. Like I don't. I tend to not really put any emotional weight behind my commentary. Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to say how I make myself distinct among other commentators. I put no emotional weight behind like anything. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, this really sucks, huh, guys? And then I just move on to the next thing. But I'll totally like nerd out over certain subjects because they're things that I'm more interested in. I think an MMO group content is necessary to do, but I love that there's solo content that'll take you pretty far. I famously remember. Okay, it's not famous. I remember I was trying out Final Fantasy 11, and I was like, "Hey, this looks cool. Like my character is really sexy looking. They're very tall and all that stuff." But then I quickly got to this one point where I don't know if anyone who played that game, you might remember some of this because I barely remember myself. There's like this area where it was like this big flat kind of plain. I don't know if it was flat, but it was just this big plane, and it was like low levels. Like I think it was like level 10, 11 or something like that. And I was like trying to kill stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is taking forever. This is rough, man. And then I later learned that like the proper strat is to just keep chain pulling because you get bonuses, I think, if you get to fights a lot of the time. But I didn't have self-sustain for that. Like I needed a group. And so that was kind of the thing. You needed to be in a group if you wanted to even feel like you're leveling in an okay pace. And that didn't feel great for me. And I would definitely feel tilted if that was the case in World of Warcraft. If I had trouble just leveling without being in a group, oh, dude, that'd be rough. Now, leveling is faster in a group, right? That's that's important to point out. But at least leveling feels very, very feasible and doable on your own. Oh, elite quest? Fuck it, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna move on. Dungeon quest. Even back then, I was like, I ain't doing no dungeon quest. You're crazy, dude. But as a warlock, I would try my best to like solo elite quests that are out in the world, and that was fun. That was a fun challenge for myself, and a lot of the time I'd fail. But I still got to level 60, and I still like got to enjoy the things that I could get with my limited purview. And I think that's a very important distinction, or not distinction, it's a very important viewpoint that I think players lose, because they'll constantly, I'm generalizing here, they'll constantly compare their narrow viewpoint of how they experience the game with what's possible, and then they'll get mad because it's like, why can't I get myth track gear like they can? I want to be able to do level 6 delves and eventually get mythic gear. Blizzard, why is there no path for that? And I think a lot of that just stems from people looking outside of that and being like, I want that too. And I guess it's not bad to think like that, but boy, there are consequences to that, I think, where you just feel bad because you feel like, oh, now the way I play, I thought I was happy, and then I guess I'm not. I don't know. Like I think back to how I played back in 2004 or so, and I felt perfectly content, doing my own thing, just experiencing the world and not really caring about what other people were doing. Like I would see those people in molten core gear and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, and that I feel like it helped add texture to the game. You know, there are differences between, players that you can see. Now, of course, 20 years later, people can just farm molten core, whatever, get all the transmog, and what you see isn't exactly a clear picture of reality. Now, the metrics are just they're just totally different. But I feel like people can have great experiences hearing this and other games as long as they stop paying attention to like what everyone's doing and comparing, trying to get all the same things. I don't know. I think I feel like it's an unrealistic expectation from gamers. It's like, yo, I want to feel the same thing that they do, but do less. I think that's a hard needle to thread. Yeah. Which brings me to this first thing that came from the interview stuff. So I think I have like the direct link. straight to the timeline thing. I hope. So I want so we're gonna listen to like this whole thing, and then like I said, and then we'll talk smack. Um, sound is good. All right, ready your ears, guys.
Which has been really interesting and kind of cool. Like I have enjoyed it, especially you can go take a fresh ult and you can gear them up in like 8 minutes with a couple of friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that in some ways is very very good because it helps teams where like right we need 8 marksmanship hunters for this boss, we can gear them up in 20 minutes. But at the same time, like you want to re-roll whatever you might need for certain bosses and any content you just want to re-roll to play with some friends. I think item level acquisition is rapid, and let me just think of how I want to phrase this. So I've got like I've written it. I'll read it word for word, but I've got like item level is rapidly acquired, which sort of diminishes the distinction I feel between player skill, because what happens is you elevate more quickly players that sort of normally wouldn't have been at that high max item level, but now because they've gotten a bit lucky and with some of the systems in place, they're actually competing with some like high level mythic raiders. But the expectation of those players might be different. But now they're sort of matched in the same content, kind of like how when a +10 drops the best loot, you find people are doing the +10s because it drops the best loot, but their skill might not necessarily place them there, if that's a nice way of putting it. So I feel like that can cause some social friction because people's expectations don't match the reality of where they're at. So hopefully that question all kind of makes sense. But how does the team feel with item level acquisition? Because obviously it feels amazing to get item levels. It's an RPG. We want to grow our character. But has that presented challenges for you? Do you see them as challenges, or are you okay with that?
There are definitely challenges there. There are also advantages. It's a complex picture, really. I mean, I think that the separation of item level and character power and experience/skill is something that I think has been present in WoW in various forms for a decade or even more. I mean, the second we started to have the only time that it was really unified was when there was only one consistent path to endgame gearing. Like 20 years ago, if you wanted to get good epic gear, you raided. And like by definition, if you had, Sunwell gear, well, that meant that you had done the stuff before it and you were good enough to play in Sunwell and complete those encounters, and that was the only way to get there. The second we started to have even just parallel dungeon and raid ecosystems, I mean, I've had plenty of experiences myself, running a raid guild and having players in the group who don't necessarily have a lot of free time to do dungeons. And we would, jump in and try to bang out a couple dungeons for the vault or whatever. And these are players who are skilled players, like good raiders, but just don't have the dungeon knowledge because they don't spend much time doing the dungeons. And it was a guild group, so we just kind of, carried people through it. But that's something that the community is broadly aware of, that like there's a reason why more than item level, if you're putting together a group for a dungeon, you're also looking at people's Mythic Plus rating and their key history. If you're putting together a pug for, let's say an early Mythic raid, or you're trying to do a ahead of the curve pug, like you're looking at some achievements, you're trying to get a sense of not just what's the item level, but what's this player's experience. And that's like, some can say that's toxic. I don't call that toxic personally. I think that it's reasonable. Like obviously now if you're a jerk about it, that's toxic.
Yeah, like if somebody's a parent and they're trying to play in my dungeon, no way.
That's not what I meant. But like, no, it's reasonable for players to want to seek out others who have the same level of experience. Right? If I've been pugging this raid for 2 months, I've gone through a bunch of groups that have wiped a couple dozen times, have learned the mechanics. We did that during the first weeks of the season. I've done that. I've learned this boss. At this point, it's reasonable for me to want to seek out other players who have had that similar level of experience, who are also going to be on the same page. There's also, and so like the most important thing for us there is aligning expectations. That's why we've added, the drop downs to the group finder for like, is this a relaxed run or is this trying to push? Like, because it can be fine if people are up for learning and up for taking their time as others learn. Let's make sure those people are finding each other and they can all have a good experience together. If there's someone else who's like, you know what, I've done this 100 times, I just want to bang this out on my fourth alt
Yeah.
and get it done, it's reasonable for them to want to find people who have the same mentality. So I don't think that's a new thing. Now, I will say that, you know, a high item level and myth tier gear is probably more accessible than ever before. You know, we are pulling back a little bit on the generosity and the pace with which you can bonus roll gear with void cores in season 2 for that reason. I think you'll be able to start getting them earlier, but 1 a week is a more reasonable pace there than what 2 a week led to, as we saw in the second half of the season. But also, you know, what we've heard a lot from the very high-end players in recent years especially is that for a lot of them, gear is a means to an end, the end being competition and success and killing the mythic boss or timing the highest key possible. Whereas for a lot of other players, you know, the content is the means to the end of the gear. And so, like, it's not necessarily the worst thing that more of those gear motivated players are able to get to a point that's closer to the high end, because the high end have been telling us pretty clearly that, like, look, they just want to get their gearing over with early on so that they can be optimal and then chase their skill-based goals.
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, it is a bit, it can be harmonious, but, you know, as always, we're going to, you know, keep looking at how things evolve and listening to the feedback we're getting from different portions of the community.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's
So there's a lot to unpack from that. Like it was a long question, it was a long answer. And this kind of like goes back to what we were talking about just a little bit earlier about like content that matches like what we want to do, or are we able to do it? Do we need to get into a group? Obviously, the perspective again that this is coming from is from the high end, people who are trying to get into like key pushing groups, mythic style raids, things like that. But one of the big takeaways that I feel like I got from this was kind of the acknowledgement, and I've given commentary on this before over how these days we gear way faster than before, and by that I mean like the plateau of item level. We can reach that plateau, or the plateau that we reach is a lot higher than it used to be. Like before, if you think back to, I guess crafted gear is a good baseline for that. Crafted gear used to max out at most like heroic-ish kinds of levels of gear, where you can make like 1 or 2 pieces of high-end gear. Actually, I'm sorry. Let me tell you about. You can make like almost a heroic level set with crafted gear in Warlords. Now that involved lots of time gating because you had to like do the work orders and all that other stuff in order to make that sort of gear. The Obliterum Forge in Legion, that was kind of similar. In BFA, we were able to make myth level gear or mythic level gear, but the caveat with that was you were limited to like 1 or 2 pieces. I think engineers were able to make like a head slot, and so they got like a bonus one, kind of sort of, but they can only make it for themselves. So it was kind of like it was almost like a profession perk than anything else, if I recall correctly. But since then, the likes of Dragonflight, War Within, and Midnight, now we can make, you know, myth level stuff. We can make like the, you know, almost the best gear down a couple of steps or down a step or two, and be able to achieve that. And then, of course, consider like since so many years ago, you know, we had like Mythic Plus that adds more gear. We have delves that add like this new level of gear, and then now the world content has stepped up in big ways to give us more access to even more gear, even like a little snippet of myth track gear. Hero gear is more accessible thanks to like the likes of delves and prey. You know, the bar has just like gotten that much higher. And it's not until you get into like that really top end, like, you know, later mythic raids, and then of course the infinite difficulty of keys, is when things start to fray, when you start to hit that plateau and it's like, okay, now I need to kind of like eke out the rest of my item level for the rest of the season. Or you might peak out really fast, and like, then what? And Ian talked about this a little bit, where because people tend to like reach their sort of peak item level earlier in the season than they did before, if they're still met with challenges, like, hey, there's a lot of folks that still are struggling with this part of the mythic raid or dungeons or things like that, that's when they'll offer like certain kinds of nerfs or a turbo boost or something like that. And so you see, like, throughout the course of a season, there's like these little gimmies that help for certain parts of the game be a little bit more accessible so people can reach their goals. But I think largely we're seeing like just the consequence of so many different kinds of game modes that, um, and they want them to feel like this standalone thing, but not everyone treats the game, not everyone treats WoW as like, oh, just delves, just raids, just keys or whatever. People will kind of like dip their hand in a little bit of everything. And so the folks that play the most, you know, predictably they would get the most out of it, the most item level and everything. Whereas folks who like just stick with delves, they're going to peak at a certain item level or peak at a certain difficulty. The question then, though, is, do they need myth gear to like do delve people need myth gear to be happy? Are they still going to get or are they still going to at least still get like a satisfying experience of progressing to 11s, defeating the nemesis boss on the normal and hard mode, and that sort of thing? So I thought that was a pretty fascinating thing, what talking about like gear and accessibility and how player satisfaction changes over the course of a season. I thought that was kind of neat to nerd out for a bit. It's been great being able to gear my army of alts with warband gear. Yeah, gear just rains from the sky these days. And then from there, it's just, okay, now just play the game. Get to doing the things that you want to do. Funny enough, little trivia thing, Roxana. The interviews are done with Microsoft Teams. For those who are familiar with the software, it's great. It's great. More trivia. Before it was Zoom calls that interviews were done with, and then before that, I don't know. Did I do interviews back then? Oh, before it was, I think it was Discord that they used. I think it's been a long time. Can't hear tunes without making me think about work. Yeah, sorry for the trigger alert. I totally missed this one from Annie. My takes on scaling and the harder endeavors. If we're fresh in a patch with a ton of current content to do, hard endeavors are a miss. What about the level 10 player only in WoW? What about the level 10 player only in WoW for housing? How are they supposed to do any harder endeavor content? The neighborhoods should have decent progress tasks you can do. The neighborhood should have decent progress as you can do all the endeavor progress in the neighborhood. But what if you join a neighborhood that helps you out, though? So, again, it kind of goes back to, what if we dared to be like a little bit social to get that sort of stuff? I would say that trying to join a active neighborhood, or it is difficult to join an active neighborhood. I think that's good feedback. I think that's something that the team ought to work on. If that gets addressed, then something like that endeavor thing that we're talking about, that I think gets solved because it offers the player a solution. Hey, I could just find a better neighborhood that's more active and does all this stuff. Cool. And it could be one that's active with housing, or the one that just happens to be full of players that will just fill out the endeavor anyway. So that's like that possibility too. Like as soon as we get to next week and we can choose our endeavors and the random rolls and all that stuff, of course it's going to change because people are going to behave differently, and not everyone is going to like overlap their activities with what the endeavor is. Right now, this one obviously is. People are going to the Cold Isle. There's the very high likelihood that as long as the people in your neighborhood are there and playing the game, they're probably in the Cold Isle. They're probably getting credits. You'll probably match yourself out. And that's great. Yay! So I'm in two very active neighborhoods, and they're always empty. I've rarely seen one or two other people. So what do you mean by so? I'm a little confused. So they're very active neighborhoods, but they're empty too. So do you mean like they're active outside of the neighborhood, or they're like raiders and they don't do housing stuff? Because that's a little confusing to me. Active in that the endeavors are completed in 1 to 5 days max. Okay, but they're empty too. Um, so what's missing, or yeah. So yeah, help me identify like what's the problem there, or what are you looking for from that? So if they're done and get all the stuff, I mean, I would have mixed feelings about. I can't really think of a good way to say it. I don't know if I want to feel forced to be in the neighborhood all the time doing stuff because of a thing that I want to do. Like, I think it would be a different sort of problem if I was in the neighborhood like too much, because my time's finite too. I can't do everything. I mean, I'm technically in the neighborhood now, but I'm not doing anything, right? I'm not even doing auction stuff. I'm just here chatting. Uh, my guild neighborhood only gets things open and done, but only two of us build. I'd like Blizz to give us the option to open up the neighborhood to the public. That, I think, I thought that was a thing at one point. I remember some data mine strings once upon a time that made it so we can like do this. It was like a one-way change, right? Um, yeah, I maybe they just were like, okay, maybe we won't do it. But I remember those being data mine strings at one point. Like if you wanted to make your neighborhood public, then okay, cool. But but it is no longer a it's no longer a guild thing, and I think you were still able to choose your endeavor each month. I think I'm not too sure about that, but it's not a thing anymore, or it never became a thing. Um, but yeah, I guess they decided like, nah. Uh, my neighbor's the same in 2 weeks, but I never see people doing it either. Yeah, and part of it is because we can do other things. I can kill raid bosses and get credit, and for me, I'm a big fan of that. I don't feel like I should be forced to do only neighborhood stuff, because WoW is more than just the neighborhood, and we should do other things to get credit for it. Now, the neighborhood the endeavors are easy to complete. It's fast, like, and I think that I remember I was saying this earlier months ago. I was like, okay, they're being a bit too generous with how quickly we can complete these endeavors, to the point where it just doesn't feel strong. Like it doesn't make a strong distinction between, hey, here's an active housing community or whatnot. So I think we're getting a little bit closer to what we're trying to aim for with possible improvements to endeavors. But I think there might be some negative consequences to it. So I guess what I'm suggesting is make the endeavor requirements higher, as in quote harder to complete, but give much bigger bonuses. Offset that with much bigger bonuses to neighborhood related activities. So I'm not going to pretend I know how to do the math here, but that's kind of like the general gist of it. So like if we're a guild that only does raiding, it should be very, very difficult for us to complete the endeavor before like maybe the end of the month or something like that. Whereas folks who are like, all right, team, let's gather around. There's like 40 of us here. We're all going to slam this neighborhood stuff and go nuts. And then maybe if that were to happen and y'all went nuts, then maybe you can be done in a day or so, because you guys got together, you made an event out of it, you maxed it out, and you're good to go. Um, And if you're in and if your neighborhood sucks, then it just sucks. So maybe that's something that should be done to kind of help the neighborhoods feel, help neighborhood activities feel a little bit more meaningful and get folks to participate a little bit more. Maybe. But yeah, because I don't see a world where, hey, because I'm gonna be very what's the word? I'm gonna be hyperbolic for a second, Annie. I don't think we're gonna see a world where we log in and we just get everything. I don't think that's gonna be a feasible thing. I know that's not what you're saying, but I feel like the conversation we're having is we keep pushing the goalpost back further and further until it becomes like super trivial. And like I said, I don't think that's a realistic outcome. Not bothered by it. I think a lot of people were thinking it would be more of a social hub. I mean, how would you do it though? Because it's kind of like, remember, housing is new. It's a new thing in a 20-year-old game where we're used to playing the game a certain way. How do you suddenly like make it into a social hub without making it feel forced to be a social hub? Because it would be. I think there's a very thin line between, hey, we're inviting you into a thing versus we're forcing you guys to get together to do stuff. Especially because it's a brand new feature. I plan on moving me and my parents to a different horde neighborhood. That's like the alliance one I'm in. Finding a neighborhood is a mixed bag. As we've seen, some plots are very popular for houses, and trying to find the Goldilocks neighborhood is frustrating. The Goldilocks neighborhood? I would have figured that because I mean there's some large housing communities out there. Are they not open for invites and stuff? Because I figured that they are. Like I've bumped a few, but then there are others as well. Now, those relationships, they're not necessarily neighborhoods though. So like the Wild Kia group, they're huge, but they don't exactly have a set neighborhood. Because I've noticed, at least in this space, like here in our little bubble, I don't have a neighborhood that's dedicated for housing stuff. It's all just my guild. You know, I kind of silo myself off like that, you know. But the folks who are here in this channel, we participate from all sorts of different neighborhoods, regions, you know, and we do all that stuff. And that's cool. Wild Key is kind of the same thing. As well as many other housing communities where it's not necessarily the neighborhood that binds them together, but there are some. Cozy Keep comes to mind, where they do have like a whole ton of subdivisions, like something under 10, something like that. But that's kind of a lot of people, I think. Excuse me. HO is welcoming everyone, both of you. Yeah, link it, dude. If you're in a neighborhood and you're inviting and you're open for people, just link your shit right now. Do it. Hopefully the mods won't, or hopefully the bots won't filter it out or anything. But yes, please. You know, if you are interested in having more folks join your neighborhood, advertise yourself. This is the place where I would want people to do something like that. I gave up getting the plot I wanted and just kept moving my house until I found the plot I fell in love with. I half joked about it, but I'm totally serious about it too. How many neighborhoods are totally dead? How many Founders Point neighborhoods are totally dead except for plot 0? You know what I'm talking about. I don't remember which plot this is. 46. Or in Razor One, 46. How many neighborhoods are dead except for that one? You know, and it's like the only house. And hardly anyone else is anywhere else. I'm sure it's a lot. Which housing plot is most popular? 46. 46 is like arguably the one that I've seen people support the most. Yeah. And then over in Founders, it's 0. Plot Zero is overrated. I'm glad the best plot for me is not super popular. Plot Zero is popular. Like it's. I wish I wish I tracked it better, but I'm sure if I pull up, I'm sure if I do a filter, I could probably pull up 46 and 0 a bunch of times, in my spreadsheets. Yeah. And I bet that person struggles getting. I'm sure they struggle getting endeavors done. Maybe. I mean, maybe they are part of another neighborhood that is super poppin', and that's where they get all their coupons, and then they do all their purchases on, from that other neighborhood. It could be that too, if they want. I'm not super picky, but there are lots of great plots, but there are a few that are so. I'm not fussy about the plot. I move my houses around to help other people get their endeavors done. Oh, that's very nice of you. I'd never want to leave mine. I mean, I hardly built anything on my plot, but I ain't going nowhere. Like, I still need to build my big old gun. But yeah, this is it, dude. I will never leave. Shit, 27, right? Pretty sure it's 27. Right? Crap. I gotta represent my number, right? 27, bitch. Yeah. You're nice? I'm not nice. I am not nice like that. That's very generous of you, though. We need more players like Fernaxa. Our horde house is fine, so plot wasn't really a priority. Oh, I got it. I wanted the highest elevation. So that way I can fire the cannon, that way. That's still the intent. It's going to fire in that direction. But someday I'll do it. 46 development in my neighborhood. Nice. I mean, like I said, it's popular, but it's not like it's by and far. It's not. There is no best. It's always a treat though. Whenever I see ones that are in like really different places, like I tend to notice that. Whenever there are houses in like a brand new spot, I'm like, ooh, that's nice. So I'll see. I think the one that's below here, the one that's across it, this one is a bit more popular, I think. But I do love that we have like these cool little plateaus, these isolated spots for horde housing. I'm not as familiar with Founders Point, or at least the areas. I know, of course, there's the spooky part, the highlands, the coast, and all that stuff. But yeah, the horde one's just better. There is one more interview question that I wanted to at least bring up and cover. This one talks about something that's a bit close to the heart. It talks about QA stuff and bugs. So they explain some of these bugs, and I think that this was, I think this is like cool and valuable, or at least, somewhat entertaining. So yeah, this is the one from Tettles. So I'll let this one play, and then I'll just like talk about it for a bit.
Bugs where it was like Spark, there was like a Hunter 4 set that gave them catalyst charges. There's like vacuum coiled alter stuff. Like, what kind of like what happened?
I can speak to some specific bugs with it.
Uh-oh. Oh, I'm lagging. I'm lagging bad. So that's what I get trying to manipulate the video stuff. Come on.
With any
There we
different
go.
bug, usually the story is going to be different. You bring up the Hunter
Yeah.
two-piece set for folks who weren't familiar. The Survival Hunter 2-piece set unlocked the Catalyst Unbound achievement as opposed to the 4-piece set. What that is was just a flip piece of data. If you think about it behind the scenes, there are for every spec there are multiple set bonuses, and in this particular case, the 4-piece was flipped with the 2-piece, and the effect of that was people who got their 2-piece started getting their Catalyst Unbound achievement a little earlier. We were able to fix this one. This one was, obviously has already since been hotfixed and was hotfixed just a couple hours after it sort of showed up on forums and Reddit posts and whatnot. So very few number of very small percentage of overall survival hunters were affected, let alone percentage of players in the game. But that was a case where there was a flip bit of data. Another example you brought up was Sparks, and that was also actually the same thing. Like one sort of misplaced treasure table caused folks to get into a state where they either weren't able to get an additional Spark or they had a Spark too many. And that one is been a little longer to clean up. We're still, have folks both on design and engineering sort of data analysis folks who are going to make sure that we get to a place where like everything's even, fair. We've already made the change to increase the cap to 4 for that first week, so that we have the bank error in the player's favor, where we're able to get a little bit more power during that first week, where the expectation was they wouldn't have 4 sparks during that first week. And then for the few people who are still in the space where they're mismatched with their currency or their items, that we're getting all that cleaned up. But like looking forward, I don't think that's ideal that that sparks are built in a way which is so fragile that a one little flipped bit caused a lot of cleanup. So we're looking at sparks in particular as a space that we want to not let something like that happen again.
I mean, broadly speaking, right? I completely understand. As a player, bugs are frustrating, right? You're paying a subscription. You're playing a premium AAA game. You want it to work. And that's a completely reasonable expectation. And so everything I'm about to say is not an excuse. It's just an explanation for how these sorts of things happen. It's a vast game with like innumerable amounts of data. Every like the thing Paul mentioned, like and some of this is internal tools and processes that we would love to improve, but it's how the game works today. That Catalyst Unbound achievement. That is a designer manually entering what's basically a list of 40 numbers. It's 40 spell IDs that correspond to each of the 40 different possible 4-piece bonuses. One of those 40 numbers was flipped with the 2-piece bonus instead, as Paul said. Our QA analysts check it, but the test suite is like, equip the 4-piece bonus. Do you get the achievement? You did. Test passed.
Okay.
Not necessarily, right? So it's like, and
So I want to pause there really quick because there's that comment saying, "Oh, there's asking about bugs is a waste of question. There isn't too much to say because bugs aren't intended." I mean, that's true, but it's also I wanted to bring this up because it's a cool thing for me, at least, to kind of nerd over as a former QA person. Now, the Catalyst Unbound achievement, it's kind of new. It's kind of new where when you hit your 4-piece, you get an achievement, and then that allows you to start getting catalyst charges from season content. I think that came in this expansion or like last expansion. It came in kind of recently. And from my point of view, like they're saying like, oh, their test case or like their checklist to make sure things are working. Okay, put on all 4 pieces. Do you get the achievement? Yes. So I'm wondering to myself, like one, how was that missed? But 2, like to me, it was like just kind of an error in the process where it could have been something like someone who was checking this out, like a QA person, maybe they just quickly put on all 4 pieces and got the achievement, and then cool, they checked the box, it passed. When they should have done, now I'm sure the process improved, so now they're going to put on 1 piece at a time. Boom, what happens? And then the test case should say nothing happens. They do it again. Okay, cool. Nothing should happen. But if they did it that way, then they would see, oh, the achievement fired off. Oh, crap, what happened? And so they would flag that. That would go to the team. They would fix that little numerical error, and then that would be it. And then they would, again, progress. Okay, 3-piece, what happens? 4-piece, what happens? That's typically how it goes with something like that, where for every like new thing, like a lead person or whatnot, they would need to develop test cases for all of these different things that are happening. And so you got to go. So because this is something new, this is something that, of course, they're going to learn from, and hopefully that'll get ironed out, and ideally isn't going to happen again. Now, you got to keep in mind, too, that these past couple of years of World of Warcraft has been this expansion of features that is like huge. I mean, 10 years ago, we got Mythic Plus. Cool. And then from that, you get this new layer of additional content that comes in all the time. Hey, there's like this new dungeon stuff, these affixes, these perks and achievements and what have you. More recently, delves got added to the mix. Prey got added to the mix, and each time we get like a big patch, there's like new stuff. Housing got added. That's a huge layer of additional stuff that's being added, and there's only so much team. Now, of course, there are people who joke about, oh, they have, do they have QA analysts, or they have QA, yada yada yada. So I went into the credits for WoW for Midnight. They have 75 test analysts, 21 of what they call design quality analysts. That's kind of a new thing. And then there's like some upper management. There's 20 quality management, one associate quality director person, and then one quality director. So yes, they have QA. But I also looked at before. I went in and counted how many analysts that they'd have for the War Within. 51. Dragonflight 67, Shadowlands 69, nice. Battle for Azeroth 67. And then on top of these, there was like a little bit of like middle management as well. There were like test leads. They were just called test leads back then. But here they have like brand new titles. So there's analyst, that's been a thing. Quality design, quality analysts, that's new. Quality management is also new. But let me move on because Ian said more about QA stuff, and I was already nerding out a bit too much.
And a lot of it is needle in a haystack type stuff. It's we catch probably 99% of the bugs that are in a given patch. There's thousands of them. We catch 99% of them, fix them, but that still means that dozens of often high profile ones creep out. We do a root cause analysis. We try to understand and the aftermath, like how did we miss this? Was there, could we improve our tool to make it harder for a designer to make this mistake or easier to quickly catch when something was out of whack? Could we redesign the system? Could we improve some of our underlying tech to make it, fail in a way that's less destructive or obnoxious to players? And hopefully we make a different set of mistakes next time. But at the end of the day, when you have hundreds of people touching hundreds of thousands of data entries for a given update, human error is unavoidable. And I know painfully aware of all of the it's all AI vibe coded memes across the internet. No, we're all doing this manually. The WoW QA team has never been larger than it is at this point, but we've also never been doing anywhere close to this much at any time in the game's history. And so
it's testament to be like, okay, they at least the numbers that we see according to credited people in the game. It is true. It is a bigger team than it was before. It's also very true that they haven't been working on this much stuff at once. Having an increase from like approximately 75 something testers to a little bit over 100. It's a decent increase, but at the same time, like the scope of everything that you're testing, because we got it continues to grow. Because remember, like every time we add a new patch, the game gets bigger. You still got to test almost everything that there is in the game, because there might be because the whole spaghetti code nature of most enterprise software or gaming software, you do one thing and who knows what it might affect somewhere else. So again, the big features that have been added over the past, 5 years or so, between delves, housing, and the other enhancements to other game features like raids, keys, mythic plus, and so on, and like all these live events and things like that. There's like so much. And like you said, it's not an excuse. This is just the consequence of them making more. So back to the whole testament part. It leads gamers to question appropriately, are they doing too much at once? Are they trying to add too much to the game to a point where it's just not sustainable, that things are like fraying and breaking? Is this a case of these very real problems, or is social media doing a bit too much to magnify these and make these to be a bit bigger than what people seem? Because while the issues, they obviously exist, does it affect everyone the same way? No, because I see a lot of folks, at least in this, at this level of gameplay with housing and stuff, while we do see issues with things like rotation issues, excuse me, rotation issues, and the blueprint's not working right in test, and basement's not working until now. A lot of folks at certain levels, they're not seeing any of that stuff. So it's kind of so yeah. I'm not gonna.
We're always
go too
learning.
further.
We're always trying to do better, and as Paul noted, we do have the ability to fix the vast majority of issues as quickly as possible. And many of these are resolved within the day that they're spotted, but we always want to do better.
I have a interesting story about a bug I can share. I think which just is I think it's fun. Ian will probably tell me don't keep talking about bugs, but I think this one is fun. And we had an issue. Maybe it showed up maybe 3 days after launch where players noticed that if they logged out in certain cases, their characters kept fighting. And I heard this report and said, it's all like, what? That can't be true. So I tested it out myself, logged into Silver Moon. I'm going to stand in this spot right here, logged out, logged back in, I'm still there. Okay, well, let me try it in combat. I flew over to a couple sleeping lynxes out in Silver Moon, landed right on top of them. They started attacking me. I logged out. And then when I woke back up, they were both dead and they had loot sparkles. And so I was like, okay, so my character actually did keep fighting. Something had happened. And so we looked into it. And what this is for 20 years, your character actually has always been capable of doing this. If this was your character operating as if it was mind controlled, they'll just sort of blindly cast spells. That's what was happening under the hood. But some tech changes made it such that previously your character was always just stunned when you disconnected. When you alt F4, your character was stunned, and that stun was removed. That stun wasn't triggering, and so your character wasn't stunned anymore. So that's obviously, like Ian pointed out, since been fixed. We were able to we saw that on Friday afternoon. It was fixed by Friday evening. But it is fun to know that for all 20 years, your character has sort of been like able to come alive like a Toy Story doll. Just that stun was the only thing preventing them from doing so.
That's just another quick nerd out event. Like I remember it was during last season, one of our guys DC'd, and he was fighting as if he was a follower, or like he was Bran or Valera or whatever. And I was like, "Yo, like you're still fighting, dude!" Like, and he was a healer. He was going in there. He was running in. He was like welling on stuff. He was casting random spells. And we're like, "Dude, what's going on?" And so. Like we had thought, and I had thought that there was like some new tech brought in where, like, yeah, if you happen to DC, your character will still keep fighting. But apparently, the real bug, the bug is not that you keep playing and fighting. The bug is that you were supposed to be stunned, and the whole auto fight thing that's been there. And I thought that's just kind of fascinating, nerdy thing to put in. I know it's for some it might sound like, oh, it's a waste of time because because we're asking about the same things each time, but I think it's important to still bring them up because one, they're present issues, and so it feels high profile enough that these interviews will want to bring it up with developers. I think the real prize though is that we weren't exactly getting answers from them. We did get the usual platitudes of, okay, we don't want this to happen, yada, yada. But I do find it fun that we got some insights as to like a little bit of the process that happens under the hood, and what they're doing about it, and that how they're identifying like these sorts of things, and just kind of, of course, acknowledging that a lot of this stuff is manually done, and that's kind of the consequence of having like this constant flow of new features that comes in, that you can't just, okay, let's develop test tools for these sorts of things so we can automatically check them. When it's brand new, you still need to lay down like the groundwork of how that's going to operate. Before that, you got to test it manually and just kind of like test that stuff yourself. And I thought that was like fun to bring up. All right. Yeah, like you're saying, like, it's fun to hear how something broke. Like that's always a cool thing to get. So it would be really fun to like sit down with some of the dudes who run this thing and just like talk shit and be like, like tell me about like these interesting bugs, these interesting issues that you had, or like how the process has worked. And I don't know if I'm like, I don't think I'm like a great. I don't think I would be a great person for something like that, but I would totally nerd out over an interview with like a QA person, not to like have them defend their stuff. Like I know what it's like, but I just want to hear some like basically stories from the trench. I would want to see, because there's, if for anyone who's done QA, whether it's enterprise software, gaming, things like that. I mean, gaming feels like more entertaining anyway. But for anyone who's experienced that sort of stuff, like you've seen so many different kinds of things, and there's all sorts of like terrible, horrible stories folks have seen. I think that would be fun. All right, let me close that guy real quick. Use the to log in dead. Oh no. All right. Was there anything that I wanted to bring up today? I don't know. I'm not sure. I did manage to talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know what I want to salvage into a weekly commentary thing. You know, let me browse through Wowhead Icy Veins really quick and just do like kind of a quick perusing. Excuse me, a quick perusing of stuff. Okay, so they did the recap of the week. There was no updates. Boo. Oh, you know, I did finish. I finally finished the raid last night. Yay! Congrats to the team. Finished the raid. Did the follow-up quests. I did not spoil myself on anything beforehand. I thought it was cool. I mean, what did you get? Like, I don't know. No spoilers, but like, what did you guys think? Like, I thought I was like, okay, cool. And again, I'm very, very surface when it comes to lore-related stuff in WoW. I'm always just like, hey, I'm eager to see the thing happen. Now I'm looking forward to what's happened next. You know, the end of this quest line. It seemed to lead. It seems like it's going to lead almost directly into what's going to happen in the 12.15. So there's going to be like some things happening. And yeah, I want to see how that goes. So I know that some folks are like, hey, why are we doing troll stuff when we're supposed to be after Xalatath and the Void and things like that? And, you know, the full breadth of the storyline eventually leads to how it all just kind of happens to tie together. And that seems to make sense. We did great in the raid. I mean, we did great until we tried to do like the heroic again. You know, so going back to the conversation about gearing and all that, from the feel of it, and this is talk from the floor here, or from the trenches, I guess. Heroic feels harder. It feels a lot harder than the normal thing. So we only clear normal once. You know, we don't do splits and all that stuff. So we don't have set bonuses and all that. I'm sure some of us are still in like blues and all that. But after finishing the raid on normal, you know, we tried switching to the heroic layer boss as well as the first boss in heroic in the raid. We got blasted. We just didn't have the damage for it, man. It was pretty nuts. You know, we do have folks that perform at very different levels. It's a pretty widespread, pretty big delta between performance from our DPSers. Tanks and healers, for the most part, like, we're fine unless we like just start flubbing up mechanics and all that. But for the most part, like, it just wasn't enough throughput. It was pretty crazy. So to me, that was kind of an eye opener in mostly kind of a good way. And part of the difficulty bump, I don't know if it was said in the interview, I think it was. Part of the bump is sort of a response to how it is easier to get better gear from the heroic raid. Because you can get myth track gear. Now we can't get myth track gear yet because we didn't kill any heroic bosses, but hopefully next week, you know, things will change. But it'll give us a chance to we still get a chance to get like hero gear from the vault if we wanted to do that as a raider. And of course there's keys as well. And that goes back to the whole speediness of being able to hit that plateau. Keys are still vastly superior to that end. Like, once you get into 10s, or actually I forget what level, 7s, something like that, when hero gear starts dropping just at the end of a dungeon, and then you just no life it and eventually get yourself kitted up, maybe not with the best in slot hero pieces that you want, but you can definitely at least get your item level up to that, and then your main stats will carry you through. You get to skip that many crest upgrades, and then from there, once you start pushing other stuff, then you'll be able to achieve a lot more, and that helps. I hope they tweak story mode. I have an alt, not very geared. I tried to do story mode and got smoked multiple times on the first boss on story mode. Oh wow, really? Oh wow, that's funny. I didn't do story mode. Some folks in the guild they did it because they wanted to get the champion ring, from that as well as like whatever crest or whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna bother. I'll just wait until I finish it and then maybe I'll just check it out. But yeah, I haven't checked it out myself. That's pretty crazy. What other little things here? There's just a lot of small things that happened this week, I think. Bug fixes, the Jimothy pets that came out, that seemed to be like a pretty easy get. Fixes, analyses of like the race. Wildhead tends to, again, like tend to cater to like more high end stuff, but that's their audience. 110,000 people defeated the hard mode dude. I wonder how many among these folk, did it like all natural, naked, no add-ons, no phone transcribing tools, nothing like that. No one just watching for them, using Discord, looking over their shoulder. And how many folks did it supernaturally? If you want to brag, go for it. But I'm wondering, I'm very curious about that. I mean, it's kind of cool that the sort of mechanic that we had to deal with here is something that could be overcome in all sorts of different ways, from add-ons to just getting like some outside help. Because it was a memory style game, it wasn't strictly a performance or a reaction kind of thing like Kaiveza. That's very reaction based, or the Underpin, who was you had the whole like aiming mechanic and all that, and Zekvir that was more just performance based. I feel like. What else? Oh, so new transmog stuff. I noticed the Wowhead comments were talking big mad about this transmog sword because it was cracked. It wasn't like a flawless sword. I'm like, oh, you're saying this old remake of a sword, it doesn't look quite as good, huh? I know, it looks cool. That's neat. I mean, you'll notice less when you attach something like Mongoose to it or whatever enchant that you feel like doing. And that's kind of, that's not most everything. Sparkatize needs to be fixed. I think Sparkatize needs to be fixed for this week too, because I didn't get one. I did not get a 5th one for the week, unless that's intended. I'm not sure. New mailbox mount, whatever. Yeah, not too much. And then just tracking stuff. Yeah, I have the lower res version, I think. Oh, you didn't do story? You didn't finish the quest line yet, Falcor? It's not so bad. I was taking it nice and slow last night after it. I'm like, oh, let me go ahead and get around to doing it. So I felt satisfied. Just got to turn. There's like follow-ups. Yeah. I tried no add-on, but it was too much for me to track, so I used an add-on to beat it. Yeah, I did it. I managed to get 5, and then I had a hard time at 6, and then I was like, okay, let me just try using this transcribing thing, and then I got through it, but then I died. I'm like, oh no! But then I was just dependent on it afterwards, and then I spent the next couple of hours. It's like, yo, I got him to like 5%. I know I can do it now. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm just kind of perusing through. Yeah, not too much that I'm interested in talking about. It was mostly like it was mostly the interviews that I wanted to go over, because getting dev insights is always fun. There are things that we can of course react to, get mad at, and all that. But I'm enjoying it. All right. I don't know if there's anything else that I wanted to do here today. I'm just kind of getting ready for shucks, I'm just getting ready for like BlizzCon stuff. That's going to be a thing. The contest, I'm always going to be stressing over that until it's over. I still need to figure out exactly how I want to do the judging. I have something in mind. Hopefully it won't feel too controversial. But I hope it'll be I hope it'll be cool. Hope people will enjoy it. So I think I will head out for the day. I'll stop streaming a little bit early. Like I said, I mostly just wanted to, see what I can eke out from, just kind of ranting and raving for a while. Especially talking with you folks, it's always insightful to hear what folks got to say about the game. That's part of the job. Me trying to listen and then, try to have a conversation with folks. Sometimes we'll go back and forth. That's cool, but I do mostly want to listen and see what folks are thinking about the game. So I want to wish all of you well in this short stream. I'm going to be back on Tuesday for all the good stuff. We got a full lineup of visits all set up. Got another full 18 folks. I'm really thinking about bringing that back down to 15 again, based on how the visits went this week. They were going pretty long for all the for all the right reasons. But it's like, okay, can I mentally handle it? Should I just do long days? Should I go back to doing long days so I can suit everyone? And I'm still kind of measuring that out. So we'll see how it goes. But for now, off I go. You folks have a fantastic rest of the day. I'll see you guys for the next thing. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay breezy.